So Rudeus Greyrat has a very interesting family tree, and today we will have a look at not only his family tree but also some other major families in Mushoku Tensei. So we will have a look at the Notos Greyrat family, the Boreas Greyrat family, and the Grimoire family, and the Latria family. So, the Boreas Greyrat family starts with Sauros Boreas Greyrat and his sister Valentine Boreas Greyrat. So Sauros is a strict and boisterous man that tends to speak his mind out loud. When he doesn't agree with the actions of those close to him, he tends to yell at them and sometimes punch them. Even though his demeanor made many people believe him to be a tough man that is difficult to please, he has shown to have a soft side for many people. And he also inherited the fetish for beast race that runs in the Greyrat bloodline. Sauros gets married to a girl, and soon his wife gives birth to two sons. His first son is named Philippe Boreas Greyrat, and the second son was called James Boreas Greyrat. So Philip is a kind and lenient man. He gave Rudeus Greyrat a chance at a tutoring job. He usually presents himself as an elegant and smart gentleman, unlike his father Sauros Boreas Greyrat. As he grew up, Philip gets married to a woman named Hilda. Soon, Hilda and Philip had 3 children. 2 of them were boys and 1 was a girl, and the girl was named Eris. On the other hand, Valentine, the sister of Sauros Boreas Greyrat, gets married into the Notos Greyrat family, and her husband was Amaranth Notos Greyrat. So Amaranth and Valentine had 2 sons, and they were named Paul Greyrat and Philemon Greyrat. So Paul's birth name is Paul Notos Greyrat. His family was a high-ranking noble family in the Asura kingdom, but he got into a fight with his father Amaranth and decided to leave his house and throw away the Notos name to become an adventurer. From there, he formed a party called Fangs of the Black Wolf, consisting of 6 members including him. Unlike him, his brother Philemon Notos Greyrat is unconfident and is a person that clings to power and wealth. Unlike Paul, he is a cowardly opportunist. Then we have the Latria house. So their house starts with Carl and Claire Latria. So basically, Claire is strict and hard-headed, and she was stubborn from the moment she was born. The house's education raised her to be a person strict with both herself and others. Once she decides something, she will never yield and will keep the same opinion until the day she dies. However, when something happens which proves her wrong, without a doubt she will revise her opinion. But she will not admit to being wrong, nor will she offer apologies. But she will at least not make the same mistakes in the future. She likes people that are fair and righteous and hates crimes. In conclusion, she's a genuinely good human being who is just too stubborn to hear out other people and falls frequently because of it. So Claire had 5 children, and they were called Saula, Anise, Edgar, Therese, and Zenith Latria. And from these 5 children, Zenith got married to Paul Greyrat and joined the Greyrat family. Soon, Zenith gave birth to Rudeus Greyrat, and after some time to Norn Greyrat. We also have Lilia in the Greyrat family. So Lilia was originally a guard maid for Asura's concubine palace. She was usually doing a maid's job, but if there's anything that happens, she would pick up a sword to protect her master. Lilia faithfully accomplished her own duty. As a maid, there were no complaints, but as a swords fighter, she only had average ability. Because of that, in a battle against the assassin who targeted the princess who was born not too long ago, she was slashed and injured on the leg by the opponent's short sword. Poison had been applied to the short sword, and it had some severe properties, and because of it, Lilia was left not capable for fighting. So she was removed from her position, and later she took the job of a maid in the Greyrat household under Zenith and Paul Greyrat. Paul Greyrat had kind of an extramarital affair with Lilia, and as a result, she also got pregnant and soon gave birth to Aisha Greyrat. Born and raised by Lilia Greyrat, Aisha's personality is more of an adult than those of her age, as she's able to act perfectly and speak in the manner of a maid. She is smart, manipulative, cunning, cute, and doesn't have any regard for what happens to her subject. Since Aisha is technically an illegitimate daughter of Paul, she has an inferiority complex and thinks that her family does not love her as much as Norn. This causes Aisha to be hungry for attention and very competitive with Norn. Next, somewhere on the Demon Continent in the Migurd tribe, Rokari Migurdia and Robin Migurdia gets married and had a daughter named Roxy Migurdia. On the other side of the world, an elf called Elinalee's Dragonroad gets married to another elf and they had a son, who they named Laws. Then, as he grew up, Laws fell in love with another elf and they also got married, and soon they had a daughter, whom they named Sylphiet. So Rudeus ends up getting married to Sylphie, Roxy, and Eris, and let me briefly explain how this happened. So Rudeus firstly married Sylphie. He first met Sylphiet at the age of 5. They became friends when Rudeus saved her from being bullied. Rudeus taught her magic so that she could defend herself from bullies. Rudeus originally thought she was a boy because of her short hair. He had planned to use Sylphie to pick up women. However, one day, after getting wet in the rain and not wanting Sylphie to catch a cold, and as a prank, he forcefully stripped her and learned that she was not a boy. Sylphie got extremely attached to Rudeus, and Rudeus intended to bring her with him to attend Renoa Magic Academy. When he asked his parents to pay for both of their tuition but was rejected, he was willing to work so that he could earn her tuition as well. But after seeing Sylphie getting attached and started to overly depend on Rudeus, Paul separated them and forbade Rudeus to contact home because Sylphie was becoming too dependent on Rudeus. They were supposed to reunite in 5 years once Rudeus became 12 and attend Renoa Magic Academy together. But the events of the teleport incident caused her whereabouts to be unknown to Rudeus. Later, after 8 years, they finally reunited in Renoa Magic Academy, but he could not recognize her since she was disguised as a boy, and she no longer had her emerald green hair due to it turning white. Then, after many encounters, Rudeus eventually realized that the boy who goes by the name Fitz was actually a girl. After Sylphie recreated a childhood event, she was able to make Rudeus realize that she was Sylphie. Rudeus then took her virginity after she gave him an aphrodisiac to cure him of his erectile dysfunction. They soon got married and Sylphie got pregnant with their daughter Lucy Greyrat, and years later with their son Sigurd Saladin Greyrat. When his daughter Lucy Greyrat was 3 years old, she had a tendency to run away from Rudeus whenever he came back because she didn't see him as a father but a complete stranger, which was caused by him often being away from home. Later on, she grew close to him, enjoying the time spent with him and complaining about his work taking him away from her. His son Sigurd has green hair almost like his mother and has a face similar to his father. Rudeus and Sylphie initially thought he was the reincarnation of Laplace and brought him to Pergius, who confirmed he wasn't Laplace. Also, his real name is only Sigurd Greyrat. He got Saladin name from Pergius, and due to Rudeus and his family already liking his name, Saladin became his middle name. Next, Rudeus married Roxy. So Rudeus met Roxy at the age of 3 and learned magic and many other things from her. At the age of 5, during his graduation from Roxy's lessons, she cured him of his fear of the outside, and for this, Rudeus was extremely grateful towards her. From then on, they only talked by letters. Then, by the time he had split up with Eris, Rudeus had began worshipping Roxy's artifact and hailed her as his god for what she had done for him. Years later, when they were finally reunited, Roxy didn't recognize Rudeus, which led to him being in shock before she found out who he was. Later, when Rudeus was grieving about Paul's death, Roxy came to his aid and had sex with him, making him feel better. After the events of the teleport labyrinth, Roxy became Rudeus's second wife, and they had 2 daughters, Lara Greyrat and Lily Greyrat. His daughter Lara has a strong look on her face and she hardly ever cries. The The only time she really cried was when Rudeus was going to Shirone, and she didn't stop crying until Rudeus decided to take Roxy with him. She is also the legendary hero that the sacred beast is supposed to protect. His other daughter, Lily Greyrat, is also very beautiful, like her mother, and she has similar blue-colored hair like her. Lily and Lara has the telepathic ability to talk with other Migrut tribe people, and Rudeus was surprised because he didn't expect them to have this ability, since Roxy doesn't possess it. After her, he married Eris. So Rudy met Eris at the age of 7. He went to teach her language, math and magic. After the events of the teleport incident, they traveled together through the Demon Continent and Milis Continent. When the trip was over and they managed to come back, Eris and Rudeus had their first night together, but the next morning, Eris was gone. This caused Rudeus to enter a state of depression and contracted erectile dysfunction. Later, after 5 years, they reunited after battling Orsted, and Eris became Rudeus's third wife. Due to Rudeus's low skill in swordsmanship, Eris became his partner and swordswoman whenever they set on an adventure. They had 2 children together, Ars Greyrat and Christina Greyrat. So Ars Greyrat is a big pervert just like his father Rudeus and his grandfather Paul, but other than this, he is also a very strong swordsman. His sister Christina Greyrat is daddy's girl and listens to him rather than to her mother's. Rudeus was skeptical at Christina's attitude when she first attended Asura Royal Academy, as she was naive. We also have Richard in the family. So despite having a scary demeanor, Richard is very kind and fatherly. He always helps children no matter what the circumstances and would go berserk when people try to hurt them. Richard follows a very strict warrior's code of honor that he would go to extreme lengths to fulfill his promises. He is also described as rather stubborn, having a very adamant sense of justice, so much so that he won't tolerate even minor crimes during his debut, regardless of how it may look like to those surrounding him, which also causes misunderstandings of his intention. Now, I hope all of you remember Richard and the sisters of Rudeus spent a lot of time together. So basically, as Norn grew up, she got attached to Richard's Sperdia, and soon she got married to Richard, and together they had a daughter, whom they named Lucilia. On the other hand, Aisha got into a romantic relationship with Ars Greyrat, the son of Rudeus and Eris. So do you guys remember Paul's brother Philemon Greyrat? So he got married to a woman and had a son named Luke Greyrat. Luke married Queen Ariel and they had a son called Edward. And when Edward grew up, he got married to Christina Greyrat, the daughter of Rudeus and Eris Greyrat. So we also have the Grimoire family, and it starts with Harry Grimoire and his wife. They had a son who married a hobbit, and the result of their relationship was Cliff Grimoire. Later, Cliff also got married to a Linalese Dragonroad, and they had a son called Clive Grimoire, who got married to Lucy Greyrat, the daughter of Rudeus and Sylphie. Soon after their marriage, Lucy gave birth to Roland Grimoire. So that's all the information that we have right now, and if we get some new details, I'll definitely make an updated video. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.